So we had an event a couple weeks ago, and new computers and laptops shipped out from Apple using the new self-made chipsets. Seems like everyone's really excited about that. Nick,
I'm really excited
yeah,
about
I know
that.
you are. You have any thoughts on it? Any new insights from the last couple
Yeah.
weeks?
Yeah, I mean, it's been kind of cool seeing them. I feel like most people who follow it closely have been, or I mean, expectations were kind of high because everybody knows that the uh, systems on a chip that Apple makes for iPhones and iPads are really fast and really efficient. So if they were to kind of extrapolate that out to making processors for computers, that would probably be awesome because they'd probably be really efficient and really fast and more efficient than Intel and faster than the Intel CPUs that have been used in the Macs before. And nobody really knew kind of exactly what that would mean, but we had an idea. And of course, when they officially announced them and then shipped them, now we know. And it's funny, I saw a lot right after they announced them. They were kind of a little vague when they announced all those computers, saying it's 3 times faster than this old computer, or it's faster than 98% of PCs that are sold, or something. And that's they never really gave them any specifics, and a lot of people online and everywhere else were just saying, basically calling it all bullshit and saying, "Oh, this can't be real. You can't have this much improvement in this." And basically, people don't want to believe that it was true. But the computers came out, and lots of people got them. Reviews came out, and they are. I mean, by pretty much all accounts, they are as good as Apple says they are. People are saying the battery life is incredible on those new laptops. For watching video, you do get over like up to or over 20 hours, or you get like over 10 hours of like a lot of work on the computer, which is really, really good. And what blows my mind a little bit is that the CPU they designed, it's kind of like a souped up version of the one that's in the new iPhones, but enhanced for Macs. And the single core performance on that, it's beyond. I think it's either industry leading, like out of all the CPUs, including all the AMD and Intel ones, or it's near the very top, and it blows away pretty much every other Mac. It's faster in single core than the $6,000 Mac Pro. So for some types of workloads, you could buy a MacBook Air, like a fanless little ultralight computer, and have it perform super fast as compared to even a really expensive workstation. Of course, you can't stuff that thing with like a terabyte of RAM like you can the desktop. But it's interesting that the CPUs really made such a massive jump. So it's like, it's not very often in any industry, even especially with computers, we're used to stuff getting like 10%, 5%, 20% faster year over year. But this is like huge improvements, which makes me really, really want one because I love my Macs and I really love fast computers. But the models they released were replacements for basically the lowest end models they sell. So on one hand, that's awesome because the new computers are so much faster and more efficient that it makes the low end really awesome now and really fast and really gives them a good boost. But on the other hand, I'd be interested in like a 16-inch MacBook Pro or a Mac Pro or an iMac Pro or a big iMac. Like I want a bigger machine. So what's kind of exciting for me is if this is their low end stuff, I bet their high end stuff will be even crazier.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really looking forward to that. But the computers are kind of awesome. I don't know, like there really doesn't seem to be any downside. Everybody says that they run super quiet, super fast. I saw some crazy tests too where they were doing like 4K and then 8K video export, and it was working way faster than you'd even expect for like a thin and light laptop. So I don't know, all kinds of cool stuff happening there. I can't wait to. I keep thinking, what if I just bought a little Mac Mini or something? Because that Mac Mini would be at least twice as fast as my current iMac. So I mean, I could just hold myself over, but I'm like, do I really need to spend $700 or $1,000? Probably not, but I've been wanting it just because I don't know, because it seems awesome. So we'll see. We'll see how long I can hold off, and how long it is until until more computers come out that are closer to what I want. But it's pretty exciting. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe next time I talk to you guys, I'll be recording this on my new Apple Silicon Mac.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because they've been saying that the architecture might be a little different, but even with the architecture difference, the emulation of the previous architecture, they're able to still run the previous softwares at the same speed or even faster than what the previous chips had.
Yeah, I think a lot of them, like the 13-inch MacBook Pro and the MacBook Air certainly, they weren't really high end machines, so they were fine at running some apps, but they weren't the fastest in the lineup. And so it does. You're right. It does say something that the new chip has to use translation, and it's not even really native code, and yet it still runs things faster than the old computers. And then when they do update the apps, they get way faster. So it's interesting. I think from all, I mean, again, I haven't used one, but I've read a lot of reviews and people talking about them, and it pretty much seems like they hit it out of the park. I don't know. There's been, so far, nobody's had any complaints, and people say the translation software works really well. People, for the most part, all the important apps seem to work. I use Photoshop a lot. I use Capture One a lot. I don't really like Lightroom, but I use it sometimes. And all those right now are going to be running in emulation, but they've already have a beta out for Photoshop. So that they say that'll be ready in a few months or early next year, which would be, of course, really important because Photoshop's an important app for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But until then, it should run it in the translation mode, all right, whatever we want to call it, Rosetta.
Yeah.
But it'll be cool to see what happens in the future. Like I said, I'm really waiting on the higher end models. I think that for me, that's where the most excitement lies. If the current $1,000 MacBook Air is faster than my previous high-end 16-inch one, then I can only imagine where the next 16 is going to go.
Did you see that? I think it was Craig Federighi or something said that Windows could run on it, and they're willing to work with them or something, or put
Yeah,
Windows
I read that
on
too. I thought it was an interesting thing. I think what he said was basically it's kind of up to Microsoft. That was his quote from that when somebody asked. But it would have to be ARM-based Windows, which is a different kind of thing than the sort of x86 normal one. Normally, anybody can just buy a license of Windows, but it would have to be the ARM version, which does exist, and they use it on their the Surface Pro X, I think, is the one. They have their own ARM computers, but from what I've heard, it's not the same. The ARM Macs are basically just insanely good and they're way fast. The ARM PCs have more issues because they're not as huge of a jump, and so they run things in emulation, and that can be slow. And but that's funny. It would be funny if you could install Windows on these, and they would end up being really fast Windows machines.
Hilarious.
Yeah, that'd be so crazy if Apple switches to become the next Intel and is selling all the Windows laptops.
I mean, everybody wishes that. I'm sure that people who make computers wish that they could have Apple's processors, and after seeing these numbers and seeing their actual performance, I mean, but that's the whole point, is Apple now has that to themselves. They have these super fast, efficient chips.
Exactly.
And that's, in a way, I think that it can help them justify getting, when you buy a Mac, now you can say I'm not just buying the same PC parts for more money. I'm actually buying a different part that is significantly faster and runs cooler and all this other shit. So I doubt that Apple's going to be giving that up anytime soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what competition does and see if Intel gets things in order.
I think, I don't know. I think with this, Intel's kind of fallen now to the third place in terms of just the pure performance of their cores. And AMD's been doing really well with their stuff. I know that is it the third generation of their latest CPUs? It's either just come out or it's going to or something. Yeah, and those are supposed to be awesome too. I think from what I've read, the M1, the Apple chip, is still, I think, faster in single core, but of course the AMD things have more cores in general, so they would win in multi. But yeah, I don't know. Intel, it's funny, at least in my lifetime, Intel's basically been dominant most of the time, so it's kind of interesting for somebody else to come in who's not even AMD and just to now have this amazing CPU core design.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also interesting. Another little note is that they keep the RAM for these machines is I don't know, I guess you'd call it on package. I don't think it's on die. I forget the exact term, but it's not separate RAM sticks. It's really close to the CPU. And it's shared with the graphics.
Oh yeah.
So it's everybody's saying that's kind of one of the things that helps it run so quickly, is that you're not moving data between different video RAM and normal RAM, and it's just physically you're not going through a PCI bus or whatever. It's all kind of really tightly integrated. So I heard that's what helps. Just the day-to-day quickness and the speediness of using the system is super quick because of that. So I'm really, I don't know, I'm looking forward to this. My Mac isn't slow. I have a nice Mac, but it would be cool to have that really click on something and it just instantly happens kind of feel.